Yo, Sleepy Sheepy here. Today we're going to be looking at a really exciting build, and this is going to be a main hand backhand blade and a offhand Fire Knight's heavy greatsword. And this is going to be a level 139 build. We'll be running 60 vigor, 36 endurance, 60 strength, 25 dex if we've got Millicent's prosthesis applied, and 12 faith. You can use one of the other helms to give you an extra 2 points in faith to hit the 12 points if you need that. I believe it's, the Hallig Knight helm, so that is an option if you're trying to free up a little bit more points maybe for endurance or something else. Also, I really like this armor set. It's the Fire Prelate stuff mixed with Fire Knight armor and the Helm of Solitude, but for those that don't like the chonky legs, which I know some don't, you can definitely wear the Fire Knight greaves, which also go quite well with this, but you will be sacrificing some poise and damage negation in the process. As for the setup, we're going to be running this with the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, Millicent's Prosthesis, Bulgo Talisman, and Greatjar's Arsenal. And these two successive attack talismans are really important because we have this awesome option where we go for 2 light attacks in a row with your offhand, followed up by the blind spot Ash of War on the backhand blade. And it doesn't true combo. The first 2 hits of the greatsword do true combo, and the follow-up is a very consistent roll catch or just punish. And it also creates the option for you to chain these together. So you can go for the offhand 2 swings followed up with blind spot, and then you're right up in your opponent's face again, and you can just kind of keep doing this and chain it together. So it's a little bit tricky to land and just get the timing of the blind spot, but it's good for a roll catch, and you kind of can do it on reaction and catch your opponent pretty frequently, and just the forward momentum on it is amazing. Also, as you do this, you'll be building up Millicent's Prosthesis, and then you can really quickly switch over to the 2-handed moveset and just start going for running heavies. And because you have the AR boost from Millicent's Prosthesis, you'll be doing tons and tons of damage. So yeah, this is a really strong setup. I love the synergy between these 2 weapons. We also have the option to 2-hand this, so the light attack chain, the first swing followed up by the second swing, gives you a true combo, so that's amazing. Obviously, crouch pokes and light attacks are really strong on this moveset as well, and it does get the Zweihander heavy attack, so that comes out as a poke. So something that's good for mind games is if you want to crouch and then go for a heavy attack. Sometimes your opponents will roll for the crouch poke timing, but they'll actually get hit with the heavy, and that will do quite a bit of damage. And lastly, one element of this that I find really fun is that we have aspect of the Crucible wings on this greatsword. So that means we can go for this Ash of War, which is difficult to land in duels for sure, but I would say it's very possible to land in invasions, and we'll see that a lot. So I just love the movement of this build. I love these 2 weapons together. Both of these weapons just have phenomenal movesets, and I think together they're insanely strong. So real quick, if you wouldn't mind considering subscribing, I'd definitely appreciate it. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the Invasion and Duel showcase. Alright, so first up we're going to be in the first floor storehouse Site of Grace area, and we have an opponent that is maybe a little bit new to the game. They're running a pure casting build, and rather than focusing on them too hard, we're going to be focusing on some of the other players. So we get jump scared by this Phantom. We do need to dodge some of the projectiles from the mage here, but we're going to be primarily focusing on the Phantom first, and then a number of blues will be entering the world that we can pay attention to as well. So we're going to get everyone nice and frosted, and here this player is going to go for that Ash War again. And we set up a nice backstab for ourselves, and I really like the backhand blade backstab animation. I just feel like it looks cool. You get 2 hits, and yeah, just, you know, I was not sure what to expect when I was going to go for crits with that, but it just looks good. So here we were going for the true combo, but we get hit by the wall there, so we weren't able to land it. And then we mistime our blind spot just by a little bit and don't actually get the successful follow-up, but there is a Vulgar Militia there to help us out. So I think the host might have been out of FP at this point, so they're kind of just rolling around doing funny things, not participating at all, but I wasn't really sure that they were out of FP at this point, so again, we're just going to be focusing on the blue here. We're trying to bait some aggression from the blue by attacking the host, and they do start getting aggressive, which is great. We get the true combo. We mistime our blind spot, but we will be seeing that work out quite a bit throughout the showcase. So I still think it's very much worth going for and just kind of understanding the timing. I think we also have kind of a bad connection with this player, which is part of it. You can see so many of these running heavies are kind of just going through their body. So that is unfortunate, but we get them into this little small area and we can just kind of spam some heavy attacks and light attacks with our backhand blades that we are now two-handing. And that's one thing I would really recommend is don't be afraid to two-hand either of these weapons. You're going to get great scaling with the A in strength for your greatsword if you're going to be two-handing it, and then obviously the backhand blade just has a phenomenal two-handed moveset as well. So now we have another blue, and rather than taking on the PvE and myself together, they want to run back a little bit, which is honestly a good call. If you see anyone going for that wing stance, I would say don't engage if you can, like maybe throw a frost pot at them. They go for flame skewer, and we're able to knock them out with our with our offhand weapon, and then just follow it up with a couple quick hits with the backhand blades. And at this point, honestly, I felt kind of bad. They throw out just a melee attack with the staff, which kind of clued me in that they had been out of FP that whole time. All right, and moving on from our appetizer invasion, we're going to have one where everyone is able to fully participate the entire time. So this is going to be a group of 3 in the settlement tower area, and we're in a pretty bad spot right now. This is not a happy place to be invading because you just have so many opportunities to get hit from behind, to get jump scared by different players you can't see on screen because it's just so wide and open and super flat too. So none of that is helpful, and we'd like to have some corners we can hide behind if they're going for projectiles, some hallways that we can potentially funnel them into so we can get multi-hits with our colossal sword, and really just finding a new place to be is going to be beneficial to us. So we progress through the level a little bit, move on, and actually we do see a play coming up here from one of the phantoms. They seem to have some better level awareness than I did, which, I mean, makes sense. This is all kind of new to me, and they're able to actually get behind me by going up over the roofs. So that was a great call by them, and just something I should be aware of for next time is that 1, there's a faster way to get over here, and 2, like, that hallway is not safe. If you see 2 players, you can still get surprise attacked. So here our opponent goes for a blind spot, and the hitbox of our greatsword actually misses, but we go for 2 more greatsword attacks and are able to finish off that phantom. Now we see some swings coming out from the Bloodhound Fang of the phantom. We get a nice anti-air and a true combo with the offhand colossal sword, and you can just see how much work it puts in. Unfortunately, we couldn't go for a blind spot there just because we were out of stamina, but we switch over to the two-handed moveset, and we would really like to get the combo, so we're just going to back off a little bit, let our opponent heal, and go for running heavy. Then we switch over to the great sword and get the true combo, followed up by the pseudo combo with blind spot. And yeah, it feels so good to use. It feels so strong, and just the continuous pressure you have. Like, they're already on the back foot after those 2 swings from the colossal sword. You land the blind spot and it moves you forward so much, and then they're really like they kind of have to run, and then you have the access to the running heavy attack on the backhand blades, which, you know, does two hits of damage, which is really nice because you've already hit 3 hits of Millicent's Prosthesis and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia were for successive attacks, and then you just get this little chip to increase that boost even further, and that follow-up swing on the running heavy is the highest damaging one, and at this point it's accumulated the most successive attacks. So it just hits so hard, and it just makes chase downs like a pleasure, honestly. You don't feel like that often in Elden Ring, but the forward momentum you're getting with all these new move sets is so nice for just a tool for an invader when you're dealing with somebody low health who's running away or just passive play. Also, I mean, it doesn't hurt that everybody's kind of new to these move sets and they don't have the roll timing down. But yeah, we had a little time alone with this host here, and we do have a blue that's come into the world now, and unless you've forgotten about the aspect of the crucible wings, we do have that in the mix as well. We're going to struggle to land that in this invasion, but we will find some worthy candidates of it a little bit later. We get this host down to, or this blue rather, down to very low health. We swap over to the two-handed moveset just because the running attacks are going to be pretty strong, and it's going to be difficult to land the true combo with the Colossal Sword, and the moveset is just not as beneficial for dealing with low health opponents as the other one. So we go ahead and swap over to the two-handed moveset of the Colossal Sword and use that hyper armor to get a running heavy, connect that with the host, and then just kind of we're looking around a little bit. We see that another hunter has been summoned into the world, so we're not sure if they're going to be able to catch up with us in time, but really we're just going to focus on the host this time. So here we get that great combo between the two swings of the Colossal Sword followed up by Blind Spot, and then we just have a couple more light attacks with the backhand blade for the finish. So yeah, man, I am so excited about this build. I just feel like this is exactly what I wanted from the Elden Ring DLC. This type of, I don't know, goofy setup that's super strong and has kind of an answer to everything, and that's what I feel like is most present with this setup, is that you have the hyper armor of the Colossal Sword, you have the just long poise breaks of the Colossal Sword, but you also have the forward momentum, the quick attacks, the strong Ash of War, just everything with the backhand blade. And so these two setups together, just like, they cover all your bases so well. And you could also go for like tons of different Ashes of War. So yeah, I would say, I don't know if this is the best the DLC has to offer, but it just feels like something I was so excited for. Eventually in this, we do manage to take care of the player with the pikes. Power Stance Spears does not feel as oppressive as it once did, so I'm super happy to see that. Here we just go for a couple running heavies, followed up by a running light, and catch the host. And yeah, when you have time for one-on-ones with these players with this setup, it's just like, it can be over so fast, and it's phenomenal. Next up we have a player using some of the Beast Claws, and we're going to go ahead and anti-air them with our true combo. We don't get the timing on the blind spot, but you know, we're still kind of figuring it all out. I think if you have a bunch of hours to play with this exact setup, I think you'll be very consistent with blind spot. The only issue I think would be, you know, if you're dealing with different levels of latency. So if, you know, you're not able to connect those hits, like pseudo combos are very hard over bad latency regardless, so I would not say it's a deficiency of the setup. But now we get to move on to a 2v2 where we have some help from this PvE that is quite strong, reminiscent of the one that parries you over and over in, what is it, Carrion Manor? No, it's before the Ronaldo boss fight. I don't know. I'm a PvPer. PvE is hard, but yeah, we're able to focus the Phantom for a little while, and then here we're getting ready to take down the host, but this PvE does so much damage. They just go for a jumping attack and absolutely demolish the host there. So unfortunate to be fighting both of us at the same time, but this this invasion went from very frustrating to very fun very fast. So we're going to be incorporating some of my absolute favorite elements of invading, which is goofy Ashes of War and elevator shenanigans. So things are starting out pretty poorly here. We have to deal with Rivers of Blood in a tight space, as well as some of the Malekith Blade Ash of War, which takes up a ton of space. So we want to be moving on. We want to find somewhere else to go. We were hoping to catch our opponent there with our offhand swing, maybe get them for the true combo, but instead we eat just a whole bunch of Rivers of Blood, which is casual. And we'd like to move Rivers of Blood somewhere else, perhaps downstairs. So we go ahead, trigger the elevator, and have them chase us, and that isolates the Phantom and sends the host downstairs all alone. So that makes things a lot easier. We're able to get the true combo, and fortunately we don't go for blind spot, and we would have gone over the edge and died had we gone for that. So just letting the Phantom fall to their death was probably the play. Next we have a player that has no armor on, so that's going to make these backhand blades quite oppressive. The poise breaks are going to be frequent and brutal, and we're able to finish off that Phantom. And now we just have this host left. They have one move, and it's L2, and we also have L2. So we're going to start seeing how their reaction rolls are to one of the most common Ashes of War in PvE from the Crucible Knights. And so far, they haven't gotten an A+ on their report card, but we go for it a second time and also manage to catch them. So yeah, like Crucible Wings, I love it. It's so silly, but it does hit hard, and it has kind of a lingering hitbox at the end there. So it's strong for that reason, and I think if your opponent doesn't have good roll timing, also if they're far away, like if they're going for slow telegraphed Ashes of War from a distance, you can totally punish them. So when they went for the Winged Scythe Ash of War, it was a great time to just give it a try and see if you can get over there in time. It's also not a bad way to get out of a dangerous situation. So if you just don't point it at the enemies, you free aim it in the direction you want to go, your movement's going to be pretty fast. So I think there's potential there for a way to escape. I haven't explored it too extensively, but it's something to note. Next up we have a player running the backhand blades, and then we have another player running Dryleaf Arts, and they're going for the Palm Ash of War, which just kind of charges up with almost infinite hyper armor and then delivers a huge amount of damage. So if you see somebody charging that up, I would say avoid it. If you can. I will be showcasing those in a later video, and I have a very specific and fun build for it that I think you'll enjoy quite a bit, so stay tuned for the Dryleaf Arts. The video's made, it's just a matter of when it gets published. So yeah, we're focusing here on the player with the backhand blades, and it was definitely a close fight there. They were using their backhand blades pretty well, and they were also buffed quite well. So it was, you know, a little bit close, but we managed to finish them off, and then we go for the player with the martial arts moveset. And, you know, again, we back way up when they're going for that Palm Ash of War, and then when they're kind of on their back foot, we switch over to the two-handed moveset of the backhand blades and just finish them off quite quickly. So this setup really punishes players with low poise. It's tough to go for that. Also, if they're light rolling, the backhand blades are just fantastic for catching up with your opponents, and the multi-hit element of it is really nice as well. We also have a host here with the power stance setup of light greatsword. So this is a cool power stance setup. I've yet to try it, but I'm very excited to. We do manage to catch the Phantom before the host can do too much damage to us, and here we're just trying to avoid these light attacks from the player with the power stance moveset of light greatswords, and we do get our nice combo off. We go for some running heavy attacks and switch over to the two-handed moveset to just get some extra swings in the mix and follow that up with a running heavy for the finish. And that's going to conclude our invasions. Let's move on to the duels. So first up, we have a player running a great katana, and honestly, I felt kind of bad dueling with this setup just because the hyper armor is crazy. The potential to just land so many different hits, like this is Cleavy, so they're a fantastic player. I've dueled kind of competitively with them in a tournament before, and they're just eating a ton of damage with the Great Katana, and they have phenomenal fundamentals, so it just kind of speaks to the strength of this setup, and also the ability to knowledge check a player with just like new stuff is is pretty good. I've used the Great Katana, and you know, I'm kind of aware of its moveset, so this stuff might be new to Cleavy, but yeah, I really appreciate him as a player and just as a fellow content creator, and you should check him out on stream. So next up, we have a player that's running a Iron Cleaver, which you don't see a lot, but it is strong in this patch. The poise break potential is quite high with this weapon class, as well as just the strong damage, especially when it's buffed. The R2s that are difficult to avoid, you have to be pretty precise with your rolls and can very easily get roll caught, and the forward momentum is quite strong. So we're in a bit of a pickle so far, but we do get the true combo followed up by the blind spot combo as well, and before they're able to shoot us with their crossbow, we're able to chase them down with the backhand blade. So again, such a strong way to chase players down, and just makes it so fun. Next up, we have a player again using the Great Katana. They end up getting an unfortunate backstab grab, but still get some damage there. They get a nice crouch poke. Here we get the combo followed up with the Ash of War, and then here you can see it just gets chained. So I haven't explored the chaining it too much, but there you can kind of see it in action. I didn't try to continue the chain, it just kind of felt mean at that point, but yeah, I think there's potential there, and I think it could be quite strong. So next up we have a player, and we're going to go for that combo. Just, you know, this was really when I felt like, I was like, oh man, I'm cooking here. Like, this combo is strong and consistent, and I love it. So here, again, we just get the true combo with the offhand greatsword. The offhand greatsword having a true combo. I mean, the two-handed moveset also has a true combo, but like just a Colossal Sword with a true combo in Elden Ring just feels nuts. So moving on, we have a player that's running a setup with backhand blades and blind spot, so it is kind of cool to see that in the mix as well. They're very liberally using blind spot, so we're going to use it a little bit as well. We do have kind of the timing down, but blind spot is doing a great job of avoiding the swings from the Colossal Sword, which is kind of shutting down our ability to go for the true combo that we're looking for. So that's a smart play on their part for sure, and we're really just kind of hoping to get that first swing to work out, but we switch over to the two-hand moveset and just kind of get our crouch poke and our follow-up swings and come out with the victory. Next up, we have a player that's running a fingerprint shield, and my goodness, blind spot just makes turtle players feel, I don't know, like not an issue anymore. I had always just kind of did not enjoy turtle players, so being able to go for blind spot, and then they switch over to the two-hand moveset of their HTS, and here we just keep hitting them with blind spot if they're going to keep turtling. Like, why would we not? So we were also able to get some swings in with our Colossal Sword, and then blind spot again. Like, if you are going to turtle, I am going to blind spot is kind of my thought process, and it works out phenomenally. Speaking of turtle type players, we have the I don't know, like turtle snake hybrid, where you're able to both turtle and do damage coming in with the Duelist shield. So it's a scary setup for sure, but again, blind spot is the answer, and I'm super happy that FromSoft gave us an Ash of War to really just kind of counter that type of play, and it makes Duelist shields not feel so oppressive in the arena, which I love to see. Next up, we have a player running a Colossal Weapon and a Dagger. So a traditionally difficult setup to both play and can be difficult to play against, but this Colossal Weapon has a lot of range, so that's going to be pretty nice for the Colossal user, and we're going to have to definitely respect it. They're going to get good poise breaks. That kind of overhead smash is a pretty nice element of the moveset. We get one hit in with the offhand Colossal Sword. We weren't going for the full combo at this point. I'm not sure if we realized that the offhand moveset of the R2 both swings connected, so this was kind of in the learning moment of this process. But yeah, it still works well if you just go for one swing of the Colossal Sword and follow it up with the blind spot. Honestly, blind spot is just a very strong roll catch in general, so going for poise breaks followed up by blind spot, I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff. This next player is going to be running a Great Katana, and they're using, I forget what the name of the Ash of War is, but like Weed Slicer, and they're going for it a lot, so we go ahead and use Aspect of the Crucible wings and shut it down, and it just feels great. So those slower Ashes of War are susceptible to the wings Ash of War as kind of a counter. So we go ahead and use a two-handed moveset of our Colossal Sword here and get running heavy. Here we're actually experimenting with an main hand dry leaf arts, so we're not actually using the backhand blade, but I thought I'd keep this just for fun. And here we go for the whirlwind and just kind of see what we're able to hit. I would say this is also a fun setup and one I might be exploring in the future, so if you do have interest in that, let me know. But yeah, we just get a kick for the finish and it feels great. I love the moveset of the dry leaf arts. But yeah, that covers everything for this build. If you wouldn't mind considering subscribing, I'd appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.